Okay, so this is going to go on YouTube as a separate video as well. Rawr. Oh yeah, check this out. Oh, it's so nice. It's so, it's so delicious. Zai says hi. Oh man, so good. Anyways, that is not what you're here for. Hey, Roto. Okay, move some stuff around here. Sarah. Okay. Why am I drooling over your crappy art? It's not crappy, come on. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to tune this portfolio just a little bit tighter with just some adjustments. I have a few notes too on the other screen. Okay, so Sarah's goal currently is she wants to be a prop artist and is also really interested in being a generalist, so multi-hat action long term. I asked around online and around work just to get some views on what that means and where what generalist becomes a sustainable position. For AAA games, the average consensus was that you don't start as a generalist, and then depending on the AAA studio, you can kind of form into a bit of a generalist, but you came in specialized first. So where generalists tend to flourish the most is small studios or indie studios. So keep that in mind with the type of studios that you're applying for. And then, yeah, let's actually, so there's a bit of a, when I look at portfolios, and I'm trying to help the person make their portfolio look better or be presented more flashy with just the content that exists. I go through a thing called a focus pass and then a prune pass. Prune pass is, we'll get to that one in a second. So, okay, so focus pass. If you look, this is going to get really, don't worry that I'm drawing on your stuff. So focus pass, your goal is to become a props artist, right? So the focus is on props. So the moment you know that, you start to, you can break down your scenes or your portfolios a lot better. So I actually personally really like this one. This, of course, is not a prop, but it can be accompanied by, like, this is good enough that I'm like, you need to build like a small little scenes, just some little grass around the feet, maybe some rocks that kind of fit that style, maybe a tree in the background. You know, and yeah, there's my tree, and then that one would be good. This is yeah, I'm trying to think of how to present this well. So that one's good. This one is also good because obviously it fits the prop pass. What's up, guys? This one, I would say, here, I'm gonna get a friendly no color. So this one, I would say no to as far as having it on your your Artstation, but it's still good. So I'll tell you what to do with these no's. This one is a yes, mainly because of what the scene is, and we can look at all of these as well after we go through all these. This one's a yes. This one's a yes. This one's a no. This one's a yes. This one is a no. That one's a special no. That sounds terrible. I apologize. This one is, man, this one's hard. So I want to say that this one is a yes. We can come back to that one and discuss a little bit. This one's a yes. This one's a yes. That one I haven't actually looked at, but what I'm seeing here tells me no. No in the right color. This one is a no because it's not, I'm guessing that's actually, hang on, we're just going to go in here really fast. I need to see what that is. So this is a cloth steady, graffiti, and charcoal, or graphite, graffiti. Ha! Too much division. This one is pastel. So, okay. Going back to this one. So those are both no's, mainly because they're not focusing on, like, these are, everything as you go further back, I notice is a no. Even though they're really good. Like this one actually I think is really, really cool. Yeah, so everything at the end is 2D. What's up, Watts? Hi, Knock. So let's see here. I'm going to actually I'm going to do this. So these bluish ones that I'm marking, that one's kind of cool. What's going on with this one? Ha, that's awesome. Okay, so I've kind of gone through. I've marked some that are yellow, some purple, and then some blue. So yellow ones, those are the ones that should stay in your portfolio. Mainly because they're focusing more towards the direction that makes sense for a prop artist's portfolio. Then this one gets a little special because this seems to be more of like a material thing. Let's see if I can locate it. So as far as I know, it looks like you're blending between two materials here. So all you need to do is this needs to be either a finished. Oh, really, Reed? Oh, that's a shame. Damn. Hang on here. I don't think the live command works either because bot. Ah, thanks. Thanks, Reed. Okay. So this one's more of like, I get an understanding that this one's more about material. Half of the stuff you don't have access to, that's fine. That just means that it's old enough that you might not even need it anymore in your portfolio. As harsh as that sounds, I don't mean for it to sound so harsh. This one requires some better presentation for the material and how it's set up. I didn't even realize that the stuff on the side was really low poly until I clicked on the scene. So I would really like to see this material on like a sphere showing like the gradient of like a blend to this like the lava heated version, because the material is really cool and right now the stuff around it is not really doing much for it, and then you have like a lot of stretched, looks like stretched UVs, but I don't know, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's the crystal effect you're going for. Okay, so back to where we at? Back to this guy. So the The ones that are purple, those ones could go either, you can, in your portfolio on the Artstation, you can create categories, which I know some people in chat don't really like. You know how there's like, it becomes folders that you can click on to like separate out. This is where a blog really comes in handy. And Artstation has said it a couple of times, we've talked about it in the Discord, they've said that they are in the process of making a blog per account that people can post their updates, which is really good because I have, and I know a lot of people have a little bit of a pet peeve when it comes to seeing work in progress art on Artstation, because it's not, you're supposed to be using Artstation, as far as I'm aware of, you're supposed to be using Artstation for displaying final work, right? Blogs are for moms. No, Pinterest are for moms. But, I mean, references and all that good stuff are on Pinterest, so don't forget about those. Pinterest are for moms and game devs and the creative. So the purple ones, I would suggest compiling on like either a WordPress. Like I use a Tumblr. I know it has no porn on it, I swear. I use a Tumblr. Once a blog shows up on Artstation's probably when I'm going to start paying, and then move everything over to the blog, and then just start posting updates to the blog, and then when things are finished, push them to my actual portfolio. The other thing that's a good practice is like as things get older or less relevant, you remove them from the back. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to get rid of this one, just move it to your blog. Later, Barbarian. Okay, now the blue ones, these are like the most harsh ones I'm gonna give. Just without even clicking on all of these. So the blue ones show elements that tell me that you're not fully comfortable with anatomy. Like I myself, I'm terrible at characters, but there's certain things that I see that tell me that you're not either good enough at shaders or the way you're texturing something, and it's showing in the image, or the way that the proportions of a face are drawn, or the length of arms, stuff like that. Just something doesn't feel right. That's those are the ones that I've marked in blue. Now those can, cute as fuck though, those can go in your blog if you feel like you really want to keep them. That's because a blog can just be whatever, right? A blog can just be your drop of stuff. So that mushroom guy was the first thing you ever made, probably. See, and then like, imagine me as an employer looking at your Artstation and seeing that. Then, if you feel like that doesn't represent your skills now, they will still think it feels like it's representing your skill right now. And they see this guy, and then they also see this, and they're like, well, I guess obviously she's gotten better. But just the fact that they see it and react to it, like, brings you down. So you're saying normally you give your portfolio to an employer. So, you know, when I get a portfolio from someone, I immediately go see if they have an Artstation. I don't know if like that's common anywhere else. I know that when someone says someone's name, they're like, dude, have you seen the art from blah, blah, blah? If they can't get the link to me faster than I can search Artstation, I will see if I can find them on Artstation. So like if you're going to have a website, you're going to need to maintain a consistency between the two as well. Let's see here. So I'm going to do this so that we can understand what we're looking at here. Actually, it's a little tedious, but that's okay. So remember the purple ones you keep in your keep in the blog for sure, because they're still like, it's cool. It shows that you're practicing, you're training on your craft. you're a creative person, you're not just like someone droning through 3D and not thinking about what you're doing. That's a pretty commonplace. Let's see here. So this is so sad that I'm doing this. I'm sorry. Okay, so this right here, this is what I feel like is pretty solid. And then the caveat with this one is like I want to see it textured, and I feel like it's got a style, right? So that style of the way that it's shaped warrants some stylized textures probably. And then a stylized environment, which leads to you building more props, which is good because then your prop count goes up. Is there any one of these that you want me to look at really closely? So while I was looking at, so we did the focus pass, which was like looking at what is considered props and what is not props. Then we do the prune pass, which is what we were just doing, where we move the unrelated stuff to a blog and move work in progress stuff to a blog. So that's the focus and the prune pass. After that, it just comes to presentation of your thumbnails and what they can tell me about the scene without even clicking on it. Let's see if I can't. See if I can't pick out one. So right now, I would say your weakest one is it's between these two. As far as thumbnails go, I'm assuming there's more to it than what we're looking at. So this one feels really empty because there's not much happening here. There's a path here. This one is weak, but we already talked about why. It's not necessarily the art that's weak either. It's just the way that it's being presented. I think I'm going to try. Let's see if this works. Like, if you can't get a version of this, you see how big this is? Yeah. If you can't get a version of this, showing less will do more for you, I think. So let me see if I can't do this. I'm gonna need to make a area. So we're going into constructing thumbnails for drawing attention. Okay, so what I've done is I'm making a layer. I'm gonna have this one create a clipping mask to this. Is that the right one? What are we looking at here? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so because it's a clipping mask, you're only seeing code reviews sometimes. B-man, that sounds like a terrible idea. So I'm gonna scrub around here for a minute and see what we're looking at. So just doing this, like, that's so engaging. Like, you're gonna get more clicks on this just because. So doing that, like, that's really intriguing. I'm like, oh, what is that? So you click on it, and what I would expect to see from a thumbnail like this, what did I say? So that's really intriguing, right? So, like, looking at that image, I would expect to see something like what I was saying with a sphere or tileable maps and stuff. I'm trying to think what else you would see it on. Seeing a GIF where you're painting on a surface, I'm like, that's teasing. No, that is totally. So this is only teasing. This is only teasing if what I click on is not representative of what I'm seeing. So I'm clicking on this. With this type of thumbnail, I'm clicking on this to expect to see a material. So what I'd like to see with something like this is you want teasing for sure. You want people to want to click on your work. You want people to click on that stuff. So I see this, I click on it, I want to see the material. I want to see like maybe a GIF of you like painting the transition between these two. I want to see you painting between those. That's super cool, right? This is the other one that has like a weaker composition for the thumbnails. And it looks like, see this? No one notices this for some reason. I almost always forget that that's there. But that tells you that there's more images. It's so small though, right? Like that's so small. Like I feel like maybe when you mouse over these, maybe they should scroll or switch between them. So let's go look at that one. Oh yeah, so this one's cool. This is interesting too. This is like the ground. So you're not even using a tileable on that. That's really interesting. So with this shot, I guess let's see if I can find what I'm looking for is something I can grab to frame. Let's try this one. Usually as well with these images, I would leave this text. You probably made this before Artstation was operational, right? Or before you made your Artstation portfolio. Because you can put all that stuff over here. So you can make sure not to have that. You can even put the link to your website in the text here. Oh yeah, and you posted a year ago. Okay. Let's move this one to here. We'll paste this and make a clipping plane. So now we're looking around for a good shot. See, with this image, I feel like you might be able to get a better composition going if the backdrop of these assets was darker. That way you can see the plants separate from everything else. This one's a bit difficult. Let's see here. See, that's kind of intriguing. Let's see what we can. So something like that maybe. Because now you're showing all the colors in the scene in one angle. You've got a interesting like this path going here. You've got something here, this line is more angular, which is cool. I would say this is super low poly. This is for an indie project. I would also probably either remake this stuff with stuff that you've learned, so far in your endeavors in becoming a props artist, and remake this scene like it's like a remix, right? With that, you can then post it again. I would actually probably move that to your blog because it's old enough. This one's super strong by comparison of your other stuff. Definitely look at what makes it look low poly. It looks like there's not too much that's happening that's causing the low poly look, but really have to work on your roughness range and how your normal maps read, as well as like expanding on, I think it's just roughness. I think you can get away with almost everything on here except your roughness needs to depict the materials that are on the surface. I think I like it because it's really easy for substances to look nice, because once you go PBR, like materials tend to look so much more convincing. And even if you don't know what you're doing early on, those materials by default, especially if they're not the ones that are being made by the person. The default materials have roughness that you expect on them. So it's just a matter of tuning it and then making sure that your normals aren't all crazy. I said fart. What's going on, man? What's happening to me? This is what happens. This is what happens, guys. This one's super cool. I really like this one. Something that's sticking out to me is this highlight here. Like I'm assuming you're trying to fake senpai. Not noticed. You don't need to be noticed, Kyle. So this one's super cool. I think the light that's outside is too close to this. Like it's causing this like crazy bright edge here, whereas that should be like, you wish you could access this file. I would just take what you've learned from this and keep going. Like this is super cool. Denied. I would also suggest getting like Google's Google Drive or OneDrive from Windows or any of those, and just have a folder where you keep all of your old stuff. Like I have work all the way from when I was in school in like 2004 and 2005, which is horrible, and I'll never bring it out again. But if I needed to for some weird reason, it's there. It's like, what is this? Maya. What? Maya what? It's like Maya. I think the first Maya I use is, I think it was Maya 6 or something like that. Or I think it was 6. Gross. The only other thing I would say in this scene to keep in mind is how thick these feel because of the way the normal is wrapping the your specular here. Your highlight here is like super bubbly. Might have been Maya. I think it was Maya 4 was the first one I used. What's going on, Line Force? So this scene's really cool. The only thing I would suggest is next time you do a scene that's got this amount of props in it is to take the pieces and then do like a image at the end that shows them all separated, like the bookshelf on its own. Stuff like that will help quite a bit. This is cool. I like the addition of the details of like curling these. I think I'm seeing a not double-sided surface though. Let me see. Let's see if I'm right. Ah, I knew it. Unless it's just really thin. So it must just be really thin. So you got this edge doing this. And then I think it goes up and like that. This is, okay, so it is double-sided. It's just very thin. It's very thin. Don't worry about, you can just take that edge, like if we were to look at it from the side. So this is a side view, right? And I'm trying to figure out how you display that. So if this is the side view of the card, like from here, you can just take that edge and extrude it twice just to give it a curl so that you can wrap your normal around that so that your normal does this. That's all you'll need. But that will fake that thickness. So you don't have to pay for the whole thing if you don't want. If it's only, one angle, then why not just extrude it out like that? Let's see if there's anything else that we can look at. This guy. So this guy is also suffering from, if this trash can thingy is a guy, this dumpster. Is this a guy dumpster? I don't know. It looks pretty masculine, I guess. Sure. This is just really needing like a high poly or force normals, extra bevels. You could probably get away without a high poly. What's up, Ben? Let's do this. So like thickening this edge, maybe 3 times as thick. It looks like you might have, but if not, bevel those edges. Make this edge like way thicker, because what you're seeing is because it's so thin, it's being aliased, right? It becomes really like noisy and hard-edged really quickly. And then taking all of these edges, just beveling all of those, beveling this, beveling that, bevel, 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 bevel. It's all about them bevels. So you have a hard edge here. Beveling that will really make it look so much nicer. So beveling those. You can totally pay for those these days. It doesn't really... You don't have, so if you bevel those, you don't have to bake it. You can just like... you can just force the normals on that. You've learned so much in the past year. That's awesome. That's good. Learning is everything. Other than that, I think these wheels are really low poly. Totally just round those out. Just add enough so that you don't see the steps, and you're good. And I think I'll leave your portfolio with that. I just wanted to talk about like how to cater your portfolio to the position that you're going for. Because if I look at this portfolio, I'm assuming that you're kind of trying everything, which is kind of what you want, right? You're a generalist. You want to be a generalist, and you're kind of doing everything. But they want to hire someone, usually in a AAA studio, they're going to want to hire someone that's very particularly skilled, right? A certain set of skills. A prop artist is applying for a prop artist position. When it comes to that, it's about catering your portfolio to what you want. And then all the other stuff that you have the passion for, because artists totally have the passion for everything else, is you throw that into your blog. And someday, Artstation will have a blog, and it'll all be here, all together. Like it'll probably be portfolio, there'll be a drop down here, maybe it'll have blog, or maybe it'll be here. This will just expand outwards, and there'll be a little extra button. And then the idea of being a generalist, so from what I've heard from people I asked, and what I feel is, and I've already talked about this at the beginning, but I just want to reiterate it. So generalists do really well at small studios where you need to wear a lot of hats. That's what happens to a generalist. That position doesn't really happen. Oh man, don't ever say that to anyone that you treat Artstation as DeviantArt. That's awesome. In AAA, they'll want to see you specializing. And the really interesting thing is once that happens, once you've gotten into a AAA studio, the specialization tends to broaden, because when you're specialized, they're like, oh, okay, this guy will be a prop artist. This girl will be an environment artist. And when you have an environment artist in a position where they're excelling really well because they're specialized, you feel like you can hand them things to do, not like animations or anything like that, but like things that you wouldn't necessarily do, like level design. Like I do a lot of level design. I do a lot of lighting, like temp lighting. Sometimes it becomes final lighting if it looks okay enough. Composition, stuff like that. Like that's the stuff that I end up doing. But yeah, hopefully this was insightful. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to give a full breath on optimizing a portfolio that currently exists to try and make sure that it caters towards what your goals are. So yeah, that is that. For the rest of the stream, I'm just going to be semi-focusing on just getting this sculpt done. You're always too shy? It's just embarrassing? Oh no, you're fine. You're totally fine. You optimize it down, figure out what you want it to be, and then just start adding to it. If you want to be a props artist, I suggest the next couple things you do, like if you work on this, oh, see, that's great, texture like that. Work on this, and get the low poly, bake it down, and then what do you call it? Build your environment around him, and then call that good. Do your little breakdown with all your environment pieces, and you have some more props. And then I would suggest after that is to just start doing, if you want to be a props artist, to just start making assets. Try to bundle the assets into a similar style, and then you can take all those once you've made a couple of them and slap them into a scene, and then boom, you've got a scene. And then you work on your lighting and your composition for it, finish that up, put it on your Artstation, and now you have another scene with props. And don't worry about the whole like big picture of the scene. That is probably what freaks you out, because you were saying that you're not really into building entire scenes. Kyle, I want to critique your portfolio. I think what I will start doing is doing these before I start doing my stream, depending on stuff, what I'll be working on. But let's save that one for Friday. And just so everyone knows, if they didn't see it in the Discord, I won't be streaming on Thursday. I'm going to be streaming on Friday, just as a heads up. Okay, I will be right back. I'm going to switch over some stuff, and then I'm just going to like speed through some ZBrush and chat with you guys while I do it. Cool.